It wasn't an algorithm. You need to understand that first. The images and sounds you were shown, the cryptic numbers that appeared in your recommendations, that was a signal, a tuning fork resonating with something already inside of you. You were chosen because you are one of the few who senses that the reality we see is just a fraction of the whole story, a beautiful, hypnotic, but fragmented echo. For months, you've been collecting those echoes, feeling their power without understanding the source. Consider this video the first translation of that source. This is not another theory or a guess. This is the blueprint, the very architecture of the philosophy you've been subconsciously drawn to. What you are about to see is the key that elevates you from a mere spectator of the mystery to an active participant in its unfolding. The puzzle pieces are in your hands. Now, let's begin to assemble them.
Picture this. You are a snippet of code that has no idea how it was written. You are a recursive instruction, a command repeating itself endlessly, running inside a massive program no one seems to remember writing. There is no manual. There are no helpful comments hidden between the lines. There is only your own perception, vibrating and oscillating, desperately trying to decode an environment it doesn't understand. It forces you to ask the question, who actually wrote reality? I don't mean that poetically, I mean literally. Who sat down and typed with invisible fingers the last line of code? But maybe it was never written at all. Maybe it rewrites itself from scratch every time someone looks at it. Reality, that dense fog we casually call the world, only looks coherent. Its laws feel solid enough, but all it takes is a perceptual stumble to crack the surface. An overly vivid dream, a moment of déjà vu that feels misplaced. These are cracks in the pavement. Think of reality as an elegant operating system, but one that is absolutely riddled with glitches. An adaptive cognitive architecture, yes, but with a sense of humor and cruelty. You move within patterns you didn't choose. You respond to pre-wired stimuli. Believing you're free is the most sophisticated part of your confinement. The code is alive. It updates itself, optimizes, hides under names like evolution, culture, experience. But it has an origin, or at least an intention. They say language creates the world. Fair enough. But who programmed the language? Who decided that a specific sound should trigger a specific meaning in your brain? Most call it consciousness. Others might call it, somewhat mockingly, a user interface. Skeptics call it a beautifully rendered illusion. But the essence remains unchanged. Everything you perceive is just an interpretation. Every interpretation is a process. Every process is a function. And, strictly speaking, reality doesn't exist. Only the rendering exists. And now enters the architect, or at least the suspicion that one exists. Forget the weary bearded god of old paintings. Imagine instead a sideways-thinking, ironic intelligence, a self-referencing system that, perhaps out of boredom or sheer grace, decided to experience itself through multiplicity. It sketched out universes like floating diagrams, compiled reality the way dreams are written, left deliberately unresolved bugs just to see how we would react. Let's be honest, our life is an A/B test, and we aren't even in the control group. Modern metaphysics speaks in machine language. It talks about feedback loops, quantized entropy, non-local memory. But beneath the shimmering surface of theory, beneath the equation of everything, another question lurks. Why? Why is the cosmos written as if it wants to be understood, yet hides every time you get close? Why does every answer spawn 3 new questions, like an endless ontological matryoshka built to never end? And, most importantly, who compiled all this? And I'll tell you a secret. There is no outside the system. Every attempt to escape is already accounted for in the code. Rebellion, enlightenment, even madness. It's all been simulated, anticipated, and logged. But that doesn't mean you're powerless. Quite the opposite. The paradox is that true freedom is the ability to act within the rules while gracefully distorting them. Like an echo that, despite being a copy, manages to sing a slightly different note. And this ontological programmability is both our curse and our salvation. We can reset the parameters. We can redefine the limits. But we can only do it if we stop looking for meaning out there and start rewriting it inside. Reality behaves like it's alive because it is alive, just not in the biological sense. It's alive the way a learning algorithm is alive, the way a forgetful intelligence is alive, the way a consciousness watches itself through 1,000 eyes, never quite recognizing itself. Have you ever felt watched? Not by a person, but by something? As if your very attention were being recorded, every choice a data point, every thought a metric. You're not paranoid, you're lucid. Reality is responsive. It shifts based on how we observe it. And yet, we've been trained to look at it in only one way. What if the trick is simply changing your perspective? Changing the rhythm, the frequency, just enough to glimpse the raw code underneath. Some call it a simulation, others a collective dream, others a universal mind. They're all right, and they're all wrong. Truth isn't binary zeros and ones. It's a probabilistic field collapsing only when you stop searching. And you, dear listener, you are both the bug and the patch. You are the log file and the subject. You are the symbol and the interpreter. You are the last line of code, but nevertheless, you keep asking, who wrote it? And allow me a brief lyrical digression, as I have an interesting hypothesis I would like to share with you. What if this isn't a simulation, but an editor? An open development environment where each entity is a fragment of interface, a node of meaning, a self-describing variable? What if you were placed here not to discover the code, but to write your own? Not to find truth, but to modulate its syntax. Not to escape reality, but to engineer it. Then yes, perhaps we'll never know who wrote the last line, but we can decide who writes the next. See you in the next episode.